First this morning, a push to impeach Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. It has stopped dead in its tracks. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Vanessa Broussard. Minnesota lawmakers clashed in a high-stakes hearing whether to launch an impeachment investigation, but in the end, the effort collapsed in a deadlock vote, leaving Walz in office and the impeachment push, at least for now, dead on arrival.
And the roll call has been requested. The clerk will take the roll. Chair votes aye.
Mr. Chair, do we get closing statements? Very short.
We're on a roll call vote, Representative Weiner.
Chair Long?
No.
Vice Chair Schultz?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hollins?
No.
Representative Allen?
Yes.
Representative Coulter?
No.
Representative Frederick?
No.
Representative Howard?
No.
Representative Jacob?
Jacob, yes.
Representative Jordan?
No.
Representative Cagle?
No.
Representative Nash?
Yes.
Representative Purcell?
Purcell, no.
Representative Scott?
Yes.
Representative Steer?
Yes.
And Representative Zalesnikar?
Yes.
There being 8 ayes and 8 nays, the motion does not prevail. That concludes our agenda for today.
Big accusations of fraud and mismanagement in Minnesota state-run programs, including fallout from pandemic-era spending and oversight concerns. Billions of dollars of taxpayer money stolen, all under Walz's watch. And today, he walks free. Minnesota did nothing to slap him on the wrist. Over on Capitol Hill, a sitting member of Congress is facing possible expulsion, accused of taking millions of dollars in disaster relief money meant for Americans in crisis. Florida Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sharfelis McCormick has also found herself at the center of a federal case involving FEMA funds, campaign cash, and accusations of fraud. Now over in Congress, a House ethics investigation found substantial wrongdoing. Speaker Mike Johnson says she's on the calendar for next week.
And I'll note next week there's another Democrat, Sharfelis McCormick, who will be to a sentencing hearing on Tuesday of next week through the House Ethics Committee. They investigated and gave her so much due process that it took more than 2 years because she resisted it. I expect that they will come forward with a recommended punishment for the Congress, and I suspect that may be expulsion. In my view, that would be appropriate there. And she's had all the investigation, and the facts have borne out. Apparently, she has stolen FEMA funds. I mean, think of it. You know, the embezzlement of disaster relief funds by a member of Congress. That deserves expulsion.
Now, in the federal probe, prosecutors say McCormick was involved in a scheme tied to her family's healthcare business, where roughly $5 million in FEMA-related funds were improperly received during the pandemic. That money was never returned. Instead, the indictment reads that the money was moved through multiple accounts and in some cases funneled into her political campaign through so-called straw donors. Prosecutors claim the goal was to hide the source of the funds. McCormick has pled not guilty. Now to the future of the Department of Justice and who will take on the permanent role of Attorney General. We've had multiple people talk about putting their hat into the ring. We've heard multiple names tossed around in the last few days alone, including Peter Tickton and Rudy Giuliani. Our Kara Castronova asked for an update from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Can you give us an update on the president's thinking on the next attorney general? A lot of names have been going around, like Ron DeSantis, Rudy Giuliani, Ed Martin. They're being floated as contenders. What qualities is the president looking for in a new AG? And will there be accountability for what many have described as weaponization within Biden's office when he was the president?
Sure. Well, certainly ensuring that there's accountability for the weaponization of justice that took place under the Biden administration is a top priority for this president. With respect to names that are floated, there are always names floated in the press. Sometimes I have a chuckle when I read some of the reports about certain people floated for certain jobs. As far as the president is concerned right now, Todd Blanche remains the acting attorney general. The president feels he's doing a good job, and that's where it remains right now. I don't have any personnel updates for you today.
That's right. Todd Blanche is acting Attorney General until a permanent replacement is named. No timeline has been set. Also at the briefing yesterday, the administration touting tax day and the one big beautiful bill. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. And Americans saved big on tax returns.
Tax day statistics as of April 12th. Over 53 million filers, nearly 45% claimed one of President Trump's signature tax cuts. The average tax cut for filers benefiting from one of President's new tax cuts is over $800. Over 6 million filers have claimed no tax on tips with an average deduction of $7,100. Over 25 million filers have claimed no tax on overtime with an average deduction of $3,100. Over 30 million seniors have claimed the enhanced deduction for seniors with an average deduction of $7,500. And over 1 million filers have claimed no tax on car loan interest on American cars for an average deduction of over $1,800. The average refund this filing season is over $3,400. Over 34 million families have claimed Republicans' enhanced child tax credit, which is permanently doubled and expanded by the working families tax cuts. Over 105 million filers have claimed the permanently doubled standard deduction, simplifying tax filing for millions across America. So as much as people do not like to pay their taxes, and we saw a survey today that 70% of Americans still believe that they are overtaxed, this is a great day for the American people.
President Trump is right. Small business is big business. Indeed. They are a massive economic engine that creates 2/3 of all new jobs. They represent 99% of all businesses, and they drive about half of our GDP. The working family tax cuts are putting money back into the pockets of the hardest working Americans. That's why small business and their employees are benefiting the most. President Trump and congressional Republicans have saved Americans from a $4 trillion tax hike, including a staggering 20% tax increase on working families. It would have destroyed millions of jobs.
Small businesses, they are the heartbeat of all communities. Shop local is always the way to go. Here's an example of how a family-run business is doing much better thanks to tax savings.
There's no way to count how many family members have worked here. Cousins, kids, uncles, aunts. Our staff here is family, so there's no way to put a number on that. We're at Jimmy's Famous Seafood right here in Baltimore, Maryland. Family owned since 1974. Jimmy was our father, an immigrant from Greece. He came over here chasing the American dream.
This business is what put food on our table to be able to continue to grow with our team that we've had here for 20 years on average. It's an awesome feeling.
No tax on tips and no tax on overtime is massive because if you're a bartender, if you're a server, you like to keep as much of that as possible.
It's a pretty massive moment for our industry for that to happen and really see the impact that it has on the servers and the bartenders on a daily basis.
Having the big beautiful bill allows us to take better care of our staff, to give raises, to do things that any small business owner wants to do but sometimes can't. If I had a message for the president, it would be to please continue supporting and strengthening the small business community. Small business is the backbone of America. Small business has always been the backbone of America. And the healthier small business is throughout the country, the better off this country will be. My father proved to us at an early age that hard work gets you ahead, and that's what America's all about.
That's the mentality that our dad ingrained in us, and that's what we continue to carry on every single day.
Also celebrating yesterday, Americans Saving Money was the Republican Study Committee. They held a roundtable on Capitol Hill, bringing in small business owners from all around the country. Here's another small business success story.
Under Farino Hospitality and Entertainment, my operating company, we operate food and beverage models in Hampton Roads, and we have restaurants. We're looking at a winery deal, and we have executive beverage, which is one of our main revenue generators. And we started in 2010 with one bartender, and fast forward to today, we have like 65, 70 bartenders and waiters that rely on us for tips and gratuities and wages. And when we talk about this bill, I can illustrate briefly how important it is for guys like Ramsey who have a newborn baby and use tips for diapers and to pay rent and things like that. And they could take $25,000 right off the top of their, income before taxes even, be assessed. And for guys like Devon on my team, who has a kid and he, manages a barbecue spot and works events on the weekends, it's a big deal for them because they're spending time with me. They're spending time at weddings and corporate events and sometimes gubernatorial events, and thanks for the, Governor Youngkin or, whomever. And, now it seems that the state has their back and they're putting more money back in their pocket. So, my team is thrilled. They're very excited. I have people like Janine who she homeschools her kids and she works 3 jobs and worked at one of my restaurants and picks up events on the weekends. And, this is really impactful for them.
The average refund this filing season is over $3,400. That's 11% higher than last year. President Trump will be in Las Vegas this afternoon for a no tax on tips roundtable discussion. More than 6 million Americans have claimed no tax on tips this year, with an average deduction of over $7,000. Now to our immigration laws and what's known as the Dignidad Act, or Dignified Act. Our Allison Steinberg caught up with the co-sponsor of the bill, Representative Maria Salazar, outside of the Capitol. Watch.
The actual title of the bill is the Dignidad Act. A lot of people are upset over this.
The Dignidad? What do you mean?
Dignidad, as in it's in Spanish. The title of the bill is in Spanish.
Well, it's the official title is dignity. The translation for some people is dignidad, but it's the title in the United States Congress is the dignity. Okay. The Dignity Act, which is the defense. I mean, it has every letter. It's an acronym, and every letter has. I don't quite remember right now because it's pretty long, but it's the dignity. It's in English. It's a bill written in English for the United States Congress that works and functions in English.
And Stephen Miller was recently asked about, the White House's position on amnesty. He said they're vehemently against that. Don't you think the Dignity Act sort of is misaligned with the president's agenda?
But don't you see that amnesty is a very broad word, and the way I define it is what the illegals have right now: free schools, free roads, and free hospitals. Dignity does not offer amnesty. That is a misconception. That's why I'm saying we need to start a new national conversation when it comes to the point now that the border has been secured, that the biggest mass deportation in history, as the president promised, is in course, and we're kicking out the bad hombres. Dignity legislation embodies Trump's agenda. It's just that you need to be reading the facts, not what you want to think. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but not to lie. And if you read the dignity legislation, you will see that it aligns completely and totally with Trump's agenda. Because President Trump has said repeatedly while in office that he does know that some of those workers in construction, hospitality, and agriculture and manufacturing are needed. The White House and the president has never said that he does not agree with the dignity legislation. Neither did Stephen Miller. Because the Republican Party is the political party that needs to fix a 40-year problem called immigration. We cannot continue kicking the can down the road. The only guy who can do this is Donald Trump. He could be for immigration what Lincoln was for slavery. It's up to him. I, as the legislator, gave him the vehicle written by a proud Republican from the city of Miami. Now it's up to him to determine. But I know that he's an intelligent guy, and he knows, because he comes from construction and from hospitality, that those hands are needed. Let me just give you facts, not opinion. If we were to deport, and we could, everyone who works that is illegal, does not have a criminal record, everyone that does not have a criminal record and is illegal, working in those sectors: construction, hospitality, agricultural, healthcare, manufacture. Let's suppose that tomorrow we disappear them all. The economy of the United States will collapse. And that is not what the president promised. He promised a bigger economy and a bigger military. If we don't have the economy, we cannot have the military we have. So you have to reconcile these two. Dignity is not an immigration bill. It's an economic bill, and it's a national security bill. Because if we bring out of the shadows those who are not the bad hombres, then we can concentrate on the bad hombres and kick them all out. Holman said that there are 600,000 illegals with criminal records. Let's go look for them. Kick them out of the country. Don't confuse the gangster with the gardener or the nanny with the narco. Don't confuse that. Reality is that the economy needs them. And I want to help the average American guy, just like this tax break that we just passed. That's exactly what we're doing. Affordable food, good housing, allow him to be able to live a good life with affordability. That's what dignity does, period.
You say this would only be an option that's available to non-criminals, but aren't these people criminals by the sheer fact that they've crossed the border illegally?
Yeah, but you do not consider someone that does not have a criminal record and cross the border. That's not a criminal offense. That has been, up to now, according to the books, a civil offense. So this is all politics, don't you see it? But the problem, my concern is that politics will destroy our economy. And then everyone will say, oh my God, look what we've done. Then the Dems come back into power and they're going to open up again that border, because remember that the president to seal the border with an executive order is not codified into law. If you do not put it and make it pass through the United States Senate and Congress, then that is just temporary. So don't you think that we should definitely make permanent enforcement for CBP and secure the border and just allow for whomever we think should come in? That, you see, it's just not so easy what we're dealing, and we are just creating fantasies. I create a reality so we can help the Republic.
And what do you say to those concerned about the fact that these jobs that you're wanting to give to these people that have already entered the country illegally could go to actual American citizens?
Of course, and that's why we have created a very big pot of money, so those people who feel that they have been left out, so for them to learn or be retrained and learn something else. They don't have to be on the agricultural or construction sector. Also, that is if you want to be retrained, we give you the money so you can go learn something else. But even more than that, right now on Thursday, the National Association of Manufacturers, Jay Timmons, the big guy, 10% of the economy, he's coming to do a press conference, a public press conference here at the Capitol with yours truly, the creator of the Dignity Act. Why is he coming? National Association of Manufacturers president. 10% of the economy. Why is he coming? Because he has 400,000 jobs that he cannot fill. So if the jobs are out there, then how come the Americans are not filling them? And each average job pays $100,000 because there are no hands. That's a fallacy that we want. I mean, you can believe any lie you want to. My concern is that if you continue believing the lies, then we're going to destroy the economy and the future of the Republican Party.
And last question for you. Chip Roy has talked about, moving forward, or he's introduced legislation called the Pause Act, which would pause all immigration for a period of time until we get orders sorted here at home. Is that something that you would support?
Well, pause, we've paused already. Don't you see that the border is completely and absolutely sealed? Right? I mean, it's paused without legislation. So, yeah, I agree that you gotta seal the border, and just allow those who have those who should come in. But let's suppose that no one comes in. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who are in already, who've been here for more than 5 years and do not have a criminal record. So the president did it. Now is time for him he wants to, he said it. I'm just trying to give him the vehicle so he can move forward with this idea.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
And also moving through the House floor, a bill to keep illegal alien Haitians in America. Here's Representative Tim Burchett.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett is leaving the House floor. 3 bills, 2 of no real significance. The third, unbelievably, a Democrat motion to provide for consideration that legal immigrants status to Haitians. It provides legal immigrant status to Haitians who are already in the United States. So you have illegal Haitians here, and we're going to allow them to stay. And 4 Republicans, look them up, who they were. You can pretty much a guess, but go ahead and look them up. Anyway, unbelievable. This is one time I'm glad for inaction in the Senate, but dadgummit, that is what we've become. We gotta clean this mess up here. Anyway, thank y'all for sending me here. We'll keep fighting.
That bill would protect them from deportation. Surely this bill won't pass. It would allow an estimated 350,000 Haitians to remain in the country for an extended temporary protective status. In another notable moment at the Capitol, a lot going on there. First Lady Melania Trump stepped into the policy spotlight. She is pushing lawmakers on an issue she says can't wait: fixing America's foster care system.
We are gathered here today, not because America's children rely on us, but rather because America's children are our moral equals. As parents and leaders, it is our ethical obligation to ensure American children develop emotionally and physically within a safe environment. As a community, we strive to nurture our children's curiosity, protect their innocence, and guide them with hearts full of care. Through respect, participation, and protection, American parents deliver the essentials to our next generation: housing, nutrition, clothing, and healthcare. In safeguarding our children's well-being, we shape the integrity of our nation. But to get there, a strong knowledge base is required. Education is the cornerstone of a child's future. Clearly, education is the foundation that can remain throughout one's lifetime. Yes, knowledge is permanent. In 2021, I launched Fostering the Future, a nationwide initiative to provide individuals from foster care community with access to education and at the university level. My goal is to prepare these individuals to secure entry-level jobs, become financially independent, and eventually innovate, create new businesses, and generate employment opportunities. When I first developed Fostering the Future, one thing became very clear: the foster care community requires action over awareness. This truth stands today. I'm proud to share that Fostering the Future currently maintains a footprint of over 20 universities across the country from coast to coast. In fact, academic institutions such as Vanderbilt University, the University of Miami, LSU, UVA, University of Texas, the Ohio State University, and the University of Alabama all educate Fostering the Future students. Although reports vary, roughly 3% of individuals in foster care community earn a college degree in 2025. We can close this gap. But still, foster youth face a special set of challenges outside the classroom that have a serious impact of their academic performance. These issues include housing instability, educational advocacy, financial barriers, transportation, continuity, access to technology, and other related issues. New legislation for the foster care community is a moral imperative. Some of you joined me in the White House last November for the signing of the Fostering the Future Executive Order. And although the executive order is a transformative vision, Congress now has the opportunity to create a lasting positive impact on this community. Beginning here in this room, we can once again change people's lives. With the new legislation, we can ensure that the opportunity is more than helpful for individuals in the foster care community. It can be their birthright. Thank you.
Only about 3% of foster youth go on to earn a college degree. The president is also pushing for stronger federal support, including housing assistance, job training, education access, and transportation resources. The effort falls under Melania's initiative, Fostering the Future, part of her broader Be Best platform. A press conference just wrapped up moments ago at the Pentagon. The U.S. military is still protecting and guarding the Strait of Hormuz, and we've obtained video from the waters there. Listen.
The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is illegal action. All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving and discontinue transit to Iran if that is your next port of call. Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded for interdiction and seizure transiting to or from an Iranian port. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance. Now.
Strong message there, and another strong message just moments ago from Secretary Hegseth. He had this to say to the leaders of Iran, of America being locked and loaded.
Your energy industry is not destroyed yet. You'd like to say publicly, Iran, that you control the Strait of Hormuz, but you don't have a navy or real domain awareness. You can't control anything. To be clear, threatening to shoot missiles and drones at ships, commercial ships that are lawfully transiting international waters, that is not control. That's piracy. That's terrorism. The United States Navy controls the traffic going in and out of the strait because we have real assets and real capabilities. And we're doing this blockade, performing it with less than 10% of America's naval power.
Hegseth says the math is clear. We're using 10% of the world's most powerful navy, and they have 0%. He went on to say America will maintain this blockade as long as it takes, telling Iran to choose wisely. More to come when we come back. Maha with Mike. Mike Dillon is here to discuss a Maha and MAGA meltdown. We'll talk all about it when we come back.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice, speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LindellReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Now to the MAHA movement, Big Pharma versus the American people. What we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're breathing, all at the hands of Big Pharma and also our government. Mike Dillon, a wellness advocate, is here with us today. Good to see you, Mike. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Hadn't talked to you in a long time. So whenever we scheduled you for today, I was happy to have you on to get an update on how you're doing and this daily fight that we're in for anyone, individuals, parents, pretty much everyone against doctors, Big Pharma. We're depending on our government to save us, but can they?
You know, I don't even feel like it's a fight anymore, Vanessa. It feels more like we're drowning. Do you kind of get that sense in this movement that we're kind of just trying to get our lips to the surface to get a gasp of air?
You're absolutely right. Yes, I do get that because I have a toddler at home, and to get a doctor to listen to me is a daily fight. And I say this all the time, Mike. I'm in this, and I have connections, and I talk to people, and I'm blessed that, you know, I have connections within the administration and things like that. And it's hard for me. So I'm thinking about the average American who may be dependent on, you know, their child's pediatrician to get answers, and they're stabbing them with vaccines. What do these everyday Americans do? So yes, I'm seeing it. And it's so hard as a parent, not only for myself, because of course I want to take care of myself, but for my child as well. Who do you trust to do what's right for their future?
You know, so I mentioned on a show yesterday that this is with 100% certainty. I don't think that what we're watching, Vanessa, is a conspiracy in the classic sense. I think what we're starting to see unravel is something that's more predictable and honestly even more concerning, is that this grassroots movement, which was starting to gain steam, and it felt like we've got, like, you know, it was like God's wind that was behind us. And this is a movement that's running headfirst into an institutional power. And it's getting reshaped, unfortunately, in real time. And I think everybody at Lindell TV, I think everybody on the right is starting to see it, that this is not about left versus right. This is about what happens when health activism meets a political reality. And when people always ask me, they're like, well, do you think the MAHA movement is dead? Well, a lot of movements, I don't think they die. I think they get absorbed, right? I think we were getting absorbed and kind of becoming quieter and quieter. And unfortunately, that is where we are going right now.
You're right. And, you know, not just the MAHA movement, Mike, but all across the board, I see these members of the administration, and I'm happy of the work that they're doing and trying to advance 80% of them. But they're doing interviews and they're going on and touting what they're planning on doing. But then when they get back to their office, are they doing it? So the American people are sitting at home in the mornings like they're doing right now, or in the evenings once they get off of work, and they're watching the news and they're seeing these people on the news conducting interviews, but what's being done? And, you know, I'm so proud of you and your fight. Always have been a fan of yours since I met you at CPAC last year. I hit it off and really appreciate everything that you're doing and continuing to do, because you're right. You know, I see it both ways, Mike. Change can't happen overnight, But at the same time, on the flip side, President Trump has been in office for what, a year and a half now? And so what is taking place? What has changed?
Well, what's changed is the reality that big pharma and pharmaceutical runs the world. There's a reason why only two countries are allowed to even advertise on television for pharmaceuticals. We cannot turn on a football game. You know, your young children can't grow up watching the same WWE that we grew up watching without getting slammed with 15 different side effects that are from the drugs that are being pushed out there. And the Maha movement knows that Trump has historically engaged with pharmaceutical companies, and that's part of standard policy, right? Economic decisions. But when you're talking about Robert F. Kennedy, this is the guy that represents our movement. This is the guy that is running the wing of the health activism that has been deeply skeptical of vaccines and pharma and regulatory agencies. And I don't think the American people prayed every night for him to get put into HHS to start a new podcast. And I feel that, I don't know that this is 100% them shutting him up versus him saying, the man with the position of HHS secretary can't say these things, but Robert F. Kennedy, the individual with a podcast, maybe he can start saying some things. This might be the most telling sign, because I know for me, it takes a lot of time to do a podcast. So this isn't like a 1 or 2 hours out of your week to start a podcast. He's probably going to spend more time preparing for his podcast than he'll have time in DC. And do you find that alarming?
I do. I do. However, on the flip side, he has a whole team behind him. Like, we're more independent, and so it takes us a long time to put a podcast together. Does he trust the media to get his message across? I try to look at the pros and cons, and I'm still hopeful. Like, I am. I'm still so hopeful, and I'm rooting for them as much as hard as it is. But I still feel like you're right. Is he being silenced? Is he being silenced on the vaccines? Is he being silenced by big pharma, like you mentioned, is running the world? Is he being moved over into this podcast to take away from that? We just don't know.
Yeah. And, the other issue is, if you look at what's happening with this glyphosate bill, the second that they started asking for immunity, there was so many people that were like, this is going to protect the farmers, Vanessa. We need this. They're saying that this is a dire need. And, even RFK, I felt like he was put to a position where he's got to be like, hey, food comes first in America. But when you look at companies like Bayer that have paid out billions of dollars in damages, but without admitting, any wrongdoing, and then you've got agencies out there that are like, this is probably carcinogenic. And then you've got the FDA, on the other hand, saying it's not carcinogenic when it's used properly. But glyphosate is now in everything. So you could try to be organic. You could try to eat. You could try to go to the grocery store. But unfortunately, for most of Americans, if they live near a farm, if they live near a golf course, it's getting into our water. It's getting into our food supply. And the long-term effects of this is what's really scary, because now we don't know, have we entered the largest placebo study ever of what's going to happen with glyphosate?
And now I want to, speaking on that, Mike, you have your website where you have, your entire career, Air Water Healing, where people can go and learn more. And tell us about that. When people go to your website, what can they find there?
So we developed Air Water Healing to be a one-stop shop for health enthusiasts, and the best part is a lot of people don't need anything that's on our website. If they've got the time to do intermittent fasting, eat biblically, get out, exercise, put your feet in the sand, go get some fresh air. But if you do have some exposure to mold, or you're worried about removing glyphosate from your shower or your drinking water, we put everything under one roof, and we focus on detox, detox, detox. So you can get products to detox your home or products to detox your body. And the best part is everything comes with a guideline. So you can follow us on our Substack. You can follow us, we're on LINDELLTV on Maha with Mike. And always you can email. We respond immediately. So if somebody's got questions, but we're here to kind of hold your hand as you start to get into this journey of wellness, whether you're an enthusiast or if you're just starting to, crack open the lens and look at how sick we are as a nation. we've got some pretty interesting products in there that are world crafted.
Yeah, I'm with you. Detox, detox, detox. So I wanted to make sure you had brought up the topic before. I wanted to direct people to your website. You have said that Washington is not the answer. Jesus is the answer. Washington does not need to tell us how to be healthy. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so absolutely. There is no person in Washington D.C. that is coming to save you. You know, Jesus has given us instructions on when it comes to healing, when it comes to health, you know, how we're supposed to go to the elders of the church. But more importantly, I've noticed that this Maha movement, as much as it hurts me, you know, I don't have my hat anymore. I've got to rebrand my banner. But a good friend of the show, Dr. Edward Group, has been really encouraging people to join the MyHa movement, which is make yourself healthy again. We have to make these decisions. If they're not going to change the food for us, we vote with our dollars, Vanessa. We've got to start looking up these grass-fed, grass-finished farmers for ourselves, guys that we can trust, and say, hey, I'm not putting mRNA technology in my cattle, and I'm growing my food without any glyphosate, you know, with the onset that obviously any type of overspray or what's falling out of the sky, we can't control that. But I can 100% guarantee you that you will be healthier when you take your health and your family's health into your own hands. We cannot trust what is going into the grocery stores, because if they're subservient to profits, they don't care about people.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes I go into the grocery store, the fruit aisle, and I'll see organic, and I think to myself every time, like, is it really organic? Is it really? And so you're trusting these experts, I guess you could say, to provide organic food, but sometimes I wonder if it's truly healthy.
Yeah, so do I, especially now that we're getting all of these, you know, coatings that are put on, and, you know, some of the practices when they send out these fruits and vegetables, they're treated with certain chemicals to kill off any of the pest or, you know, bugs or critters that could be inside of them. And the other thing is they want to expand the shelf life of food. So when you go into the fruit section, that used to be the section that we could depend on, because, you know, we know that when you walk into the grocery store, they've always taught us, you know, stay on the outskirts. You know, as soon as you walk into the center of the aisle up and down, that's the death trap. Anything that you can buy and doesn't expire for 2.5 years, it has enough preservatives in there, you're basically pickling your intestines. You're right, Vanessa. We have to question everything. And I think going to local markets, finding somebody that owns property that you trust, you may not have an acre or a half an acre to grow your own vegetables, but I guarantee you, you know somebody that knows somebody that's growing at home.
Right. Start your own garden. I remember as a little girl, we had a little garden in our backyard. And so kids love it too. I remember growing up and I would go outside with my parents and watch what they were doing and pick the fruit and vegetables out of the garden with them. And so if you can do that in your own backyard, that's great as well. Quit depending on other people, especially our government. Again, you know, moving forward, Mike, I know it's all changed for you. I mean, that has to hurt you some, knowing that you are so big in the Maha movement and you still want to make America healthy again, but you just don't feel that it's living up to its best expectations.
Well, when you've got doctors in this country that are so brainwashed, you know, and if Florida's starting to make some moves, you know, I was really excited to see that some of the hospital systems are trying to shift towards getting local grown fruits and vegetables and replacing the certain things that we're giving. But when you've got a doctor that gives somebody the worst diagnosis in their life and they're like, listen, there's a very slow chance, but we're going to offer you A, B, and C. And they're told by their doctor, but you don't need to change your diet. That is so alarming that, you know, people that we have put into power and we have trusted. And, you know, I know one of the things that Bobby was pushing so hard for was to get these new doctors that were coming in to get more training on nutrition. Nutrition is everything. It is 100% the very foundation of your health and wellness, because wellness starts with what you eat and what you drink. So for these doctors to go in and say, hey, you know, you were diagnosed with this, we're going to give you 6 rounds of this, 12 rounds of this. But well, doc, what do I gotta do? Well, first of all, let's start by not telling them that they can eat what they've been eating that got them sick in the first place. Isn't that kind of ironic?
You're
Vanessa?
absolutely right. You are so right. You know, they tell the patient what they've learned in school. and what they've learned in school is the medicines. Backtracking here just a little bit. I've always been told, Mike, that when you're sitting in the lobby or the waiting area of a doctor's office and you see a sales rep walk in, and then you go into the doctor and the doctor says, I want you to try this. That's from that sales rep who's paying them to give you that medicine. So always ask them, what other options do you have? That's what I've always been told. Ask them, what other options do you have? Because they are giving you medications that they are paid to give you.
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget that when they were trying to, my first daughter, when they were trying to get me to vaccinate, I had read online, this wasn't my own idea, but it was, somebody had said to me, they go, this is a really good way to bring it up. And I know this isn't a vaccine segment, but I will bring it to your audience's attention.
That's fine.
I went on
We'll
a
take
legal I went on a legal website and I took a little form that they gave out. And basically it was saying to the doctor, hey, all right, you can't bring me the safety and efficacy studies on this particular vaccine. And I understand that you're saying that they're safe for my daughter. I'm willing to vaccinate her, but I want you to sign this paperwork. It's a legal binding clause that God forbid anything happens to my daughter, you would be willing to put up any of the assets in your practice or any of the assets in your home. And the doctor's like, I'm not signing that. I go, well, then if there's nothing for you to lose, then I've got everything to lose. So I think that we're at a standstill. And that doctor never once again brought up vaccines to me again.
We have to protect our babies. We have to, because, they're a lot of them, most of them are just getting paid to per vaccination. I'd love to have you back on to talk about vaccines, because I could talk about
Absolutely.
childhood vaccines this full hour. And I know we have our Maha Mom segment, and our moms look forward to that as well. So I'd love to have you back on to talk about childhood vaccines. But in the meantime, as we start to wrap up here, Mike, again, I'm so grateful for you and the fight that you're putting out there to make ourselves healthy again. Any final words to our viewers to encourage them? A lot of people just don't know where to turn. Like I said in the beginning, an average mother or father or just someone who's sick doesn't know where to go, and they just automatically depend on their doctor or what the government is telling them to do.
Yeah, so I tell everybody one of the best things to do is read the Bible. Everything is written there. You can get so much encouragement just by getting on your knees. Don't fight this battle alone, guys. I mean, I know we're only a couple weeks removed from Easter, but there is an incredible Father out there who loves you and your health when you start following and eating biblically and not holding in all of this resentment. You just mentioned a couple really good places they go. They could come to your show and they could go on a couple other shows. Maha with Mike, we bring in all the health experts. Go to LINDELLTV. Mike is one of the people that is still allowing people to come on and speak the absolute truth. And that is what is another thing that's encouraging, because we bring in doctors, we bring in epidemiologists, we bring in mothers who have reversed autism in their children. We have doctors that are fighting cancers naturally. So look to the people who are not afraid to speak the truth, but more importantly, people who walk with Jesus in their life, because they will literally tell you the truth.
Yes, go to Jesus. And I want everyone to follow Mike, because you do bring in all of these wonderful people, real life stories where people have turned their lives around, and we want to help all Americans. Mike, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you for all you do. I hope to contact you soon to have you back on to talk about vaccines.
Absolutely. You guys have a great show, and God bless.
Thank you. More to come this morning. Stay with us here on My Mornings with Vanessa. A look at a big art coming to Washington, D.C. But first, a reminder to follow me on all social media platforms. We're actually live right now on YouTube. You can go subscribe there. I'm on X, Vocal Truth, and Instagram.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control.
Let's take a look at how the markets are starting the day. The Dow, S&P 500, NASDAQ. The Dow and S&P 500 up at this hour. The NASDAQ down a little bit at opening bell. The market is ticking higher this morning with Wall Street riding a wave of strong earnings from yesterday. Numbers, they were really well. And cautious optimism today over easing tensions overseas. So we'll continue to watch. In your news to go as you start your day, the White House is moving forward with plans for a massive 250-foot United States triumphal arch in Washington, D.C. It's being proposed as a centerpiece monument for America's 250th birthday, which, as you know, is on July 4th. Its height is symbolic, 250 feet for 250 years. The location is planned for Memorial Circle near Arlington National Cemetery, right across from the Lincoln Memorial. President Trump is heading to Las Vegas today. He will be hosting a roundtable discussion on no tax on tips. That is taking place this evening, and you can watch it right here on LINDELLTV.com. Also, make sure you have the Lindell TV app downloaded on your mobile device. And your daily Bible verse today, it comes from the book of Psalm. The Bible reminds us that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. That's Psalm 46:1. And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. And today we leave you with sights from the beautiful Lone Star State. Hello to everyone in Texas. Have a good day, America. Huh?
You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater, and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses, and now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read 2 sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LindellReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve.
It's finally here, our 2nd annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow